what's up everyone? The devs have thrown the community into absolute chaos. They've changed up the summoning schedule and now we're getting Ayishah early. All good with me though, as she's actually one of my favourite characters. In battle, she'll charge up your main DPS with unique buffs, do tons of damage herself, all while being super tanky and with lots of mobility. Now that sounds pretty good, right? Well, let's take a look at her kit. Ayishah is a legendary defender belonging to the Iria and Fortitude factions. This means she benefits from leader auras from Dantalion, Xavier, Magnus, and herself. Her own leader aura is actually really good, so if you're going to use one in a team comp, it'll probably be her own. And let's be honest, the other characters are a bit dated at this point, and could really use a buff to keep them relevant. Ayishah's trait is Bright Moon, and there's a lot to it, so settle in. The first part stays the same regardless of star level. It converts all her physical damage into magical damage, grants her the skill Moon's Caress at the start of the battle, performs assisting cover to allies with pledge within 3 tiles, and grants her on duty if at the end of her turn she's within 3 tiles of an ally with pledge. Now Moon's Caress is an instant skill that lets Ayishah select an ally, granting them pledge for the rest of the battle and granting herself on duty. Pledge is an undispellable buff that increases the ally's damage and damage reduction by 10% and also grants the ally resolve. So when the ally is about to die, this will trigger, healing them for 5% of their HP. Then Ayishah will swap positions with them, regardless of where she is on the map, and heal both the ally and herself for 50% of their HP. The resolve effect can only be triggered once, but the ally will have the damage and damage reduction for the whole battle. On duty is an undispellable buff for Ayishah herself, which grants her 10% damage and damage reduction as well. Both of these damage and damage reduction buffs will increase to 20% when Ayishah's star level goes up, and they're also unique, so will stack with other buffs of the same type. The second part of Ayishah's trait adds 25% of both her physical and magical defense to her physical attack, and at the end of her turn, when she has on duty, she'll heal both herself and her pledge target for 40% of her physical attack. Ayishah can really ramp up her physical attack with this, so she'll be able to put out plenty of damage herself, despite being a tank. At star level 2, she gains a 5% increase to attack and defense. At star level 3, this stat boost increases to 10%, and this is the level where her pledge target's damage and damage reduction buffs increase to 20%. At level 4, the damage and damage reduction increases also apply to herself when she has on duty. And level 5 is a big one. The attack and defense buffs increase to 15%, the amount of defense she converts to physical attack increases to 40%, and when she's healing herself and her pledge target at the end of the turn, the healing increases to 80% of her physical attack, and now it also dispels 2 debuffs and restores 1 energy. So for the star level, we're going all the way here. If you want to just run her as a support for your main DPS, you can keep her at 3 star, which will give the damage and damage reduction buff increases for your pledge target. Her 5 star though, it just gives so much and really lets her shine on her own. So it's going to be my recommendation if you're planning on building her. Ayishah's starting skill is Leg Slam. You've seen this before, 2 cooldown, 2 energy, 2 tile knockback. It's generic, but if you're on a map with lots of ledges, it's going to be worth slotting it in, so it's definitely a nice one to have. Now let's move on to the skill tree. At rank 1, Ayishah's first skill is Pure Radiance. This is a 2 energy, 0 cooldown, 1 range, single target attack. It deals 130% physical damage, heals Ayishah and her pledge target for 60% of her physical attack, dispels 1 debuff, and grants an attack up 2 buff for 2 turns. Her second rank 1 skill is Legacy of Comrades, and considering this is a rank 1 skill for Ayishah, but poor old Dantalion has to get to rank 11 before he can learn it, I think we all now know who would win in a fight. This is a passive that triggers when an ally is defeated in battle. It will recover 30% of Ayishah's HP, and also grant her attack up 2 and physical and magic defense up 2 for 3 turns. We're not really going to use either of these. Pure Radiance might have some more niche uses, but I'm going to recommend you go with Legacy of Comrades, purely because it's a defense percentage node, and that's not only making Ayishah tankier, but also converting into more physical attack. So for rank 1, we're going with right side. Ayishah's got some good stuff at rank 3, and the first one is Dawn Moon Rise. This is a 4 cooldown, 1 energy, instant speed AoE attack. You select 1 location within 3 tiles of a cross-shaped range, charge to the location, and deal 60% AoE damage to everything within 1 tile of the target, as well as inflicting Vulnerable 2 and Disarm for 1 turn. Vulnerable 2 is a 20% damage increase for any other attacks that hit the same enemies, and Disarm is a disruption control effect and stops enemies from using any class skills or basic attacks, so they can only use skills provided by gear that they're equipped with. The Disarm is great on anything that's not immune to it. If an enemy survives the attack, they'll likely just end up standing there completely unable to do anything. If Ayishah has on duty, the damage of this attack increases by 30%, and if it only targets 1 enemy, it deals 120% damage. If an enemy is defeated by the attack, it refunds the energy cost and completely resets the cooldown. This can only trigger once per round, but as it's an instant skill, you will be able to do it twice in a turn. Now I'm sure you can already tell how good this skill is, but there's a few extra things you should know as well. Firstly, and despite the description, it's not actually a straight charge, it's more of a teleport, so you can move through terrain, enemies, and also use it to jump across gaps. Secondly, you don't have to only kill an enemy to be able to use it again. You can also destroy a terrain feature like a flag or a wine barrel, though you should probably watch out for the explosive ones. The second rank 3 skill is Moonlit Shadow. This is an instant speed, 0 energy, 5 cooldown support skill. You select a friendly target within 4 range and teleport to them. Both the target and Ayishah gain damage reduction 2 and healing received 2, and Ayishah herself gains physical and magical defense up 2, all for 3 turns. Now remember, this damage reduction will stack with Ayishah's trait, so it's going to make her and the target very tanky. As well as all that, Ayishah will also gain both the Moonlit Shadow and Mighty Counterattack buffs for 3 turns. The Moonlit Shadow buff has 2 phases. When Ayishah is in a healthy state, which is 70% HP or higher, she will receive a portion of the damage taken by her pledge target, like with Tair's Caged Reverie skill. Then, when she moves to an injured state, both her and her pledge target get another 30% damage reduction. At the end of her turn, she'll also teleport back to her pledge target, no matter the distance, which will ensure she'll always have that on-duty buff from her trait. This can let you make some crazy plays. She can go in, hit enemies multiple times, and then teleport the length of the map back to safety. Mighty Counterattack also lets Ayishah strike back once per round for 100% damage when attacked from the front or side. Dawn Moon Moonrise is the priority, as it's her key skill, but both of these are really good. So for rank 3, we're definitely going with a Convallaria and picking up both. Okay, that was a lot of words, so I'm going to go grab a drink and give my voice a little break. Thanks to the magic of cinema though, you guys won't really notice, but I would appreciate it if you took these couple of seconds to go hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. And we're back, and it's time for the rank 5 reaction skills. First up, we've got counterattack. This is okay. Ayishah's certainly got a counterattack build that you can go for if you want to, but I've never really enjoyed using her that way, so it won't be what I recommend. Her other option is Shape of Full Moon, and this one is stacked. For 3 times a round after being attacked, Ayishah will recover HP equal to 50% of her physical and magical defenses, which, considering we're buffing those already, it's going to be a substantial heal. She also gains block, and unlike normally, she can block both magical and AoE attacks. Normal block only triggers 50% of the time when attacked from the front or sides. Ayishah, however, gains a 100% activation chance, and her block reduces damage taken by an additional 10%, which is on top of the 20% reduction you normally get from block. Not to mention that block makes her face the attacker before taking damage, so enemies won't be getting any benefit from side or rear attacks, and her block also triggers from any direction. At this point, I'm sure you can see how easy it is to make Ayishah very tanky. Honestly, I should have told you all at the start to take a shot every time I mentioned damage reduction, then we'd be having a great time. Rank 5, we are going right side. Rank 7's up next, and we've got 2 passive effects. The first is Dawn Moon. When Ayishah is actively attacking, i.e. not counterattacking, her damage is increased by 30%, and after an active attack reduces the cooldown of all class skills by 1 turn once per round. This is a really important one. You want to be using Dawn Moon Moonrise as much as possible, but it's got a cooldown of 4 turns. Thanks to this passive though, we'll be able to use it a lot more frequently. It does have the downside that if you receive the cooldown reset from killing an enemy with Moonrise, this passive will be wasted as it triggers at the same time and then won't activate on your second Moonrise. The other rank 7 skill is her leader aura, Moonlit Hills, and we took a look at this one earlier. All Fortitude allies on the map will receive 10% extra attack and 20% extra defense. If they're in the healthy state, they'll also receive an additional 8% attack and defense and gain 10% damage reduction. Both of these are good and well worth picking up. So for rank 7, we'll be using another Convallaria and doing just that. Rank 9 is where we get the upgraded basic attacks, and the first option is Dispelling Strike. This is a melee attack with a range of 1, dealing 100% physical damage and dispelling 2 buffs on the target. The second option is Feverish Attack. This is again a 1-range melee attack dealing 100% physical damage, but this time it will generate 20% lifesteal, healing Ayishah for some of the damage that she does. Now this one's kind of down to personal preference. Feverish Attack will keep Ayishah healed up, which is important when a number of her abilities trigger from being in the healthy state. She does have quite a bit of healing already though. Dispelling, on the other hand, might be completely useless on some maps, or absolutely crucial on others. And it is actually quite a rare ability to have. Anyone can be equipped with the Judgment Tarot, but those only dispel attribute buffs, whereas this attack dispels any buff. Dispelling Strike is also a defense percentage node, so it's going to be my choice here. But if you'd prefer to go with the other option, it's okay. I forgive you, we can still be friends. We're all the way to rank 11 now, and the first skill is Dawn Moon Waxing. This is a 3 energy 0 cooldown charge attack. You select one enemy within 3 tiles, charge to them and deal 3 hits of 55% damage. When Ayishah has her on-duty buff, this damage increases by 30%. This is a great one, as you can potentially use Moonrise twice in a row and then follow up with this for lots of damage and also letting her zoom across the map. The only issue is that you'll need some external energy support if you want to keep using this. But that's partly mitigated when she gets to 5-star and can start giving herself extra energy from her trait. Her second rank 11 is Lunar Shadow. This is a passive that's part of her counterattack build. It increases the strikeback range by 2 tiles, increases the damage of strikebacks by 50%, and lets you strike back an additional 2 times. Now, as I said earlier, I'm not really a fan of the counterattack build, so for rank 11, this is an easy one, and we'll be choosing left side. That's the skill tree all done, so it's time for some gear recommendations. First up, we need to take a look at her signature weapon, Dawn Moon. A sensibly named weapon that won't ever be confused with her Dawn Moon passive, her 2 Dawn Moon skills, or the Dawn Moon buff. At 5-star, Dawn Moon increases defense by 30%. Then, when casting a single target class support skill, i.e. Ayishah's trait skill, Moon's Caress, both her and the targets receive the Dawn Moon Glow 2 buff, which grants a further 25% defense increase. When healing a target with Dawn Moon Glow 2, they'll also receive a random level 2 buff for 2 turns. Level 2 buffs are the obvious attack up, defense up, etc., but also include things like movement up, crit up, and immunity to attribute debuffs. Ayishah will also be proccing this every turn thanks to the healing from her trait. Lower star levels give less defense percentage and also drop it down to level 1 buffs. Honestly, this is a great weapon for her, and I'll be throwing a cheeky 10 pull at it to try and get a copy. So for weapon recommendations, first up will definitely be her SIG gear. The defense percentage buffs from this aren't just for one stat, it's both physical defense and magical defense, and Ayishah converts both to physical attack, so it's a huge boost for her. Another weapon you could use is Guardian's Will. This would increase Ayishah's HP by 10% and also grants her a 40% defense increase and 10% damage resistance when she has a shield. One thing to bear in mind though is that the defense percentage increase here won't boost her physical attack due to the order of operations of when these things are checked. A third option would be Void Stab, for if you felt like being a hipster and wanted to stack up a chance to crit. For trinkets, there's only one choice in my mind, and that's Shield of Justice. Ayishah has got 2 huge defense stats, and with this, she'll be getting some big shields on top. This helps her stay in the healthy state that she needs for some of her skills, and also gives another 12% increase to attack and defense. Top tier choice. If you're going for the Void Stab crit build, you can run a Maverick's Cloak on her, which does give relevant stat boosts as well, but its distance requirement can be annoying if you're trying to keep up her on-duty buff. Other than that, I guess you could go with a Crystal Burst Armor for more strike back damage if you're doing the counterattack build, but that's not the way I'll be using her. Tarots are pretty easy, as we're just looking to up her damage. Magician is really good. She's going to be doing plenty of AoEs with her Moonrise skill, and this is just a straight damage increase. Devil's great on mobbing maps because it'll be boosting both her attack and defense. And then Justice is there for all you crit builders. For engravings, we'll be going with Sword and Wand. Ayishah's got plenty of mobility options, so she'll have no trouble keeping this maxed for another 12% attack and defense boost. Then for the stats themselves, you're looking for physical attack percentage, flat physical attack, and then either physical or magical defense percentage, whichever one rolls higher. That's everything else out of the way, so now it's time for the example build. We're already going to 5-star, so we're going all in on this one and decking her out with Sig gear. We'll be using her weapon, Dawn Moon, along with a Shield of Justice to really boost up those stats and give her some gigantic shields. And then we'll be topping it off with a Magician Tarot for some nice damage increases. For skills, we're taking Dispelling Strike, then her unique reaction, Shape of Full Moon, her passive Dawn Moon for extra damage and cooldown reduction, Dawn Moon Moonrise for some instant speed AoEs, and then Dawn Moon Waxing for another charge attack. If you want to go a little more defensive, you can swap out Dawn Moon Waxing for Moonlit Shadow, which will boost her defenses, damage reduction, and also teleport her back to her pledge target at the end of the turn, so she'll always have that on-duty buff from her trait. And then sometimes, depending on her team comp, you can swap in her leader aura. Well, I think I've covered everything now, so it's time for the most important question. Should you pull? Now, I'm sure you can already tell what I'm going to do, but that doesn't mean it's the right option for you as well. I'm a big fan of bruiser units, and Ayishah is exactly that. She's got great survivability, huge defenses that convert straight to her attack stats, so her damage is really good as well. Her skills can give her a ton of mobility, and then she's also bringing dispels, disarm, and then unique buffs for your main DPS to increase their survivability, but more importantly to really ramp up that damage. So she's good in both mobbing stages and for boss fights. Her downsides are that she is definitely a high investment unit if you're wanting the most out of her. That's both signature gear and shard farming time. She can work at lower stars with some cope gear options if all you're wanting is that boss fight damage boost for your main DPS. But you're missing out on a lot by ignoring the rest of what she can do. The other thing to consider is that we've got some great characters coming up, and everyone's pulls are limited. You can't miss out on SP Inanna, she's the best unit in the game, and Lutfi is great as well, so you need pulls for them. Honestly, if Lutfi had come out first, this would be much easier to think about, because you'd know how many pulls you have, which I'm sure is exactly why those clever devs switched up the schedule in the first place. Me, personally though, I'll be pulling for her, and if that means I miss out on Lutfi, oh well. At the end of the day, Ayishah's hotter, and honestly, that's the only stat that really matters. Thanks for watching everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to let me know what you thought in the comments below. Hit that like button, throw out a subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.